should win, and you should enter.
Crazy fangirl. I got that one down.
I'm Erika, and this is
Emonic.
So, Emonic, tell us something about yourself.
I'm an artist. I do a lot of live art and commissions for paintings and whatnot. It tends to differ between web design, graphic design, and doing illustrations. I'm just barely getting into comic books. I'm actually working on a book, so I think that'll be where I start to actually dive more into sequential artwork.
What influenced you to do art?
What influenced me to do art? It's actually always been an interest of mine since I was young. So I went ahead and kind of pursued it when I got into high school a little bit more seriously. I saw a few people doing it, and I knew I always wanted to be an artist. I just didn't know really what direction to take. And then as I got into high school, I got more interested, and then a teacher of mine got me interested in doing conventions. And I went to a convention, I talked to some comic book artists, I talked to some other artists, and I figured, all right, that's what I want to do with my life. So I kind of pursued that.
It's pretty cool. So do you want to tell us what character this is?
Actually, you know what? A lot of the stuff that I do as of late is usually just quick and right out of my head. Sometimes they tend to have a theme to it, but not necessarily a character name. And at some point in time, they might get used for another project. Yeah.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this professionally, I guess you could say, or if anything, for maybe about a full year, doing just comic book conventions strictly and traveling around doing live art shows. I've been doing illustration and graphic design freelance for the past 3.5, almost 4 years now. So for a little while, not too long.
Your book, what's it going to be about?
It's a short story I'm writing with my brother Chemix. We've been working on it for a little while. We said sometime last year that we were going to put it out, and then things just keep happening. I end up getting into other situations or something, so we kind of like keep pushing it back, but we actually have to have a preview this San Diego Con, and it's basically a science fiction book, kind of, I guess, pulling from all of our interests. I'm a big fan of the Jim Henson era. I mean, all of his storytelling's, I guess, from Dark Crystal and The Labyrinth, and I love all that type of feeling of one story kind of encapsulating everything very tightly knit. So we're looking to do something like that, something just short and concise, and maybe hopefully tell a good story that interests people in it.
Sounds pretty cool. It's been nice being here with you, Emonic.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
We're off. Okay, we're rolling.
Oh, well, go ahead. I don't want to stop you.
Okay, so
it's happening now. This is happening now, so you guys might want to watch this.
Okay, so I'm Erika, and this is
Chemix.
And this is
Emonic.
Emonic and Chemic are brothers. So
No.
we already heard a little bit from Emonic. So what's happening with you?
Basically what I do is kind of manage Emo, and he doesn't have, because he works for himself, he doesn't have an art director, so I kind of fulfill that role for him. I let him know if a deadline is due or something like that, and I'm kind of his barometer. I let him know if a piece of art sucks or if he needs to be redone or if something is good. So it's kind of nice. And at the same time, we're also working on a comic book together. I'm sure he's mentioned before. I'm writing it, and he's doing the illustration for it. Originally, he had the concept sketch for it a couple of years ago, and I saw it, and he didn't do anything with it. So I kept looking at it, and I thought it was really cool, so I asked him if I could write it, and he said sure. I ended up writing up a concept document for the whole world. I ended up taking some of his guidelines and wrote up the skeleton for the first script and gave it back to him, and he was telling me that's exactly what he wanted for it. So hopefully we'll get up the sample issue for Comic-Con and debut it there, and have a full first issue finished by the end of the year.
The plan is to just kind of be doing this full time, have one project, kind of support the other.
You liking the con today?
It's okay. It's gotten a little bit better. Earlier, there wasn't very many people. I think people were under the assumption that it started a lot later than it did. But I'm confident that it'll eventually bulk up a little bit today and tomorrow.
Do you like the con? Do you think it's doing well?
Yeah, I like the con. It's doing good.
Yeah. What would you say is like the major thing here?
I don't know, but are you interviewing me now?
you're asking me questions. I figure I ask some questions back.
Anything that you like that your brother does in particular, or?
The graphic design work is pretty cool, but I tend to like the paintings and illustrations a little bit more. Those tend to be my favorite things. Right now, he's trying to work a lot on sequentials because we're doing the comic book together, and so that's kind of a learning process for both of us. As for him as an artist and for me as a writer, I've never written a comic before, and he's never illustrated a comic before, really, not a full-on one, so it's kind of a learning process for both of us. So his sequentials are turning out really good, so I'm enjoying them.
Cool. So how long have you been doing this with your brother, or like you just started, or?
I've been critiquing him and telling him he sucks forever, but we've been doing this professionally at cons for the last, I'd say about 2.5 years.
Nothing's good. It's just never good enough. So that's the reason I have to continue on. It's just, that's the situation. That's where we're at, right?
My job is pretty much to keep him from doing piddly little things like eating and having to use the bathroom. I just make sure that he just stays in the chair and keeps drawing.
I have that problem. I don't know.
You guys think there are any other artists that have problems like you guys that are brothers, and he says you suck and you say you don't?
I think as much as we give each other shit, we work fairly well together. We tend to not have the general sibling rivalry problem that a lot of people have, and because of the fact that we live with each other and we know how each other work, it makes it really easy to work on projects with each other. If you're trying to find an artist or a writer that you don't know, then I mean you have to learn how they work before you can actually get a good project out with it. And we have that already out of the way, so we can just get straight to the work, and we don't have to communicate. It would take too long to communicate with each other with what we want.
You have to kind of bypass the whole getting comfortable with somebody else and then trying to learn their ways. We don't really have to deal with any of that, and just kind of, here, this sucks, this works, go do it.
You guys seem pretty cool, so thank you for letting me interview you guys, and we'll see you later, and we're off.